21 Pilots, I would now like to ask you to tell me the album that changed your life.
First, I want to say that that's a very dramatic question to ask of someone. But the first thing that came to mind was the album Plans by Death Cab for Cutie. One of my favorite albums of all time. I remember specific moments of my life in high school where that album provided something that I needed. And I can't even begin to describe what it done for me, but yeah, Plans. This was kind of like one of the first albums in full that I had bought, so there's a little bit of an attachment there that it was my own money, you know, so you're gonna make it worth it, I guess. Each song, your favorite ones didn't strike you so quickly and so hard on the first few listens, but then as you lived with them, you realize they began to burrow even further and further into your head. And I think that there's something about a certain melody that if you take a long enough time to carve it out and to design it, then that's kind of directly related to how long that melody can stay fresh to a listener. And you know, whatever melody you come up with off the top of your head in 5 seconds is probably going to be extremely catchy, but will die pretty quick. And I think that Ben Gibbard and the guys in Death Cab do such a great job of is not finding that immediate kind of payoff in the melody, but the melody that you could tell took time to find.
I think from my perspective as a drummer, that's not very often that like you can just play a drum beat and then somebody's like, I know what song that is. There are obviously some iconic drum beats that have been written, but I feel like that album has a lot.
It was one of the first bands I got into that was melody was so important to them, but also lyrically it was so like refreshing and such an interesting way of, oh, I've heard that being said before, but never in that way. Yes, he's talking about love or whatever emotion he's trying to speak further on, but he's saying it in a completely different way that it makes sense to me, but I'd never heard it that way. And you get the feeling that everything's been done before, and then you hear a Death Cab record and you realize, oh, there's so much more to be, you know, talked about and places you can go. So that's something that definitely influenced my songwriting.
Is there any one song from the album that will stay with you that we could play?
What Sarah Said, probably. The chord progression is beautiful. Just lyrically, it's like I can listen to it over and over, and I feel like pick out something different each time, or connect to something different every time.
Thank you to Josh and Tyler from 21 Pilots for telling us about the album that changed their life. It was Death Cab for Cutie, What Sarah Said is the name of the track you just heard. The album is Plans, came out in 2005, 13 years ago. Gorgeous. Such a great insight into how they end up making the music that they do today.